So, Bhagavad Gita, from Bhagavad Gita, we will discuss 5th verse of 2nd chapter today. Before that, we saw in 4th verse. Do you remember what we discussed in 4th verse?
Yes, Mataji. Arjun was justifying the fact that there were elders and his spiritual masters, and how could he be able to hurt them with arrows? And he was also addressing Sri Krishna and reminding him, would you even do that to your elders and to your master, such as Pandimuni? Is it Pandimuni? um, so that was what I remember.
Yes, beautiful. What did you say that word? What was that word?
Oh no, is it Sandy Pani?
Yes, Sandipani.
I said Panimuni.
Okay, good. Okay. So, good. Yes, we discussed this in our 2.4. Now, let's see 2.5. Please sing after me. So, today's meter is different. We'll try to sing. Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan
Guru Nahatva Himahanubhavan
Shreyo bhoktum bhekshamapi haloke
Shreyu Bhaktum Bhaksyamapi Haloke
Hatvarth kamamstu gurun iheva
Hatvarthakamamstu Guru Nihaiva
Bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdhan
Bunjiya Bhogan Rudhira Pratiktham
Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum bhekshamapi haloke
Guru Nahatva Himahanubhavan Shreyo Bhuktum Bhaksyama Haloke
Hatvarth kamastu gurun iheva Bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdhan
Hatvarta Kamamstu Guru Nihaiva Bunjiya Bhogan Rudira Pradigdham.
Would you like to sing? Okay, start. Sing.
Guru Nahatva Himahanubhavam Shreyo Bhaktum Bhaksyamapi Haloke
Guru
sorry.
Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum bhekshamapi haloke
Hatvarthakamamstu Guru Nihaiva Punjiya Bhogan Rudira Pratigdham
Hatvarth kamanstu guru nihaiva Bhunjiya bhogan rudira pradigdhan. Okay, perfect. Now let's see. So we will see from Anvay. He mahanubhavan gurun ahatva ihaloke. So again, we saw in 2.4 Arjuna was speaking and he's continuing. He's only speaking here also. So he Mahanubhavan Gurun Ahatva. So Gurun means my master who are very great. Mahanubhavan means who are very great, who are great souls. Mahabhagvat. Mahanubhagvat. Mahanubhavan means Mahabhagvat or great souls. So my guru, my master, or my grandfather, they are Mahanubhavan, they are great souls. Ahatva. And if I kill them, so iha loke bheksham bhoktum api shreyas. So instead of killing them, the best would be that I simply beg for food here in this world when I am, still alive here. So instead of killing, better would be that I beg for food. Bhoktum api shreya. And because of this, what would happen? My in future, it would be for my good that in future I will not have to suffer the reactions of any sinful activity. So I will not kill them. Instead, I will simply live by begging food. So this is what he's saying. Gurun hatva tu ih eva rudhira pradigdhan arth kaman bhogan bhunjia. So yes, he's continuing that if I will kill my masters, then after killing them, what would happen? Whatever uh, bhoga means whatever comforts or sense gratification things, whatever I will do, that would be tainted with the blood of my masters. So that way I can't live. That would be very difficult for me. So, yes, Arjuna is saying such heavy words to Krishna now. So, let's see the translation. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Now, please understand here. Uh, okay, we'll discuss this in commentary only. Let's see the translation simply. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. So first of all, you will see Arjuna is saying here, He Mahanubhavan Gurun Ahatva. So my guru or my masters are great souls, means they are not um, someone foolish. They are great. They are not ordinary. So you will see many people has guru, many people has masters, but not everyone's master is Dronacharya. Dronacharya is great. He's great soul. So not everyone's spiritual master is Dronacharya. So that's why Arjuna is saying here that my master or masters are great souls or is great soul. So, and Mahanubhav means just like you will see Prahlad Maharaj. Can you think of, you know, counteracting with bows on Prahlad Maharaj? Answer is no. So now here Dronacharya or Bhishma Deva. You might have heard about Mahabhagavat, Mahajanas. There are 12 Mahajanas. Have you heard of it?
So Maha is great. Um, I don't know the direct meaning of Ajanas, but I understand like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are in this category
Yes. So you
among
might have
many.
heard it. I think there is a photo of it. So there was a photo where, the names of all the Mahajanas were mentioned. So yes, Bhishma Deva is also one of Mahajanas.
Mm.
And there are many. There is Bali Maharaj also there. Yamraj is also there. And there are many people who are Mahajanas. Yes, I found the photo here.
Hare Krishna.
So yes, it's mentioned Lord Brahma, Narad Muni, Lord Shiva, uh, four Kumaras, four Kumaras, Char Kumar, four Kumars, Lord Kapil Deva, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, Bhishma Deva, Bali Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami, and Yamraj ji. So these people are Mahajanas. So yes, this is what Arjuna is saying by saying this word Mahanubhavan. Mahanubhavan means one who are Mahajanas or great souls. And Bhishma Deva, Dronacharya, they are great souls. In fact, Bhishma Deva is one of the Mahajanas. So, yes. So, just like I asked you a question that can you think of, you know, attacking Prahlad Maharaj? So, your answer was no, definitely. In fact, if any great soul would, slap us or, they may do something with us, then also we will not counter attack, isn't it? So, there comes up beautiful pastimes in Lord Chaitanya's pastime. So once Lord Chaitanya was doing a beautiful kirtan, he was dancing in ecstasy. This was actually the time of Rath Yatra only, Jagannath Rath Yatra in Puri. So yes, Mahaprabhu was dancing in ecstasy. He was doing kirtan. So the minister of the king there, he wanted to see Mahaprabhu. He wanted to see the kirtan. But now there was so much crowd. So Srivas Thakur was standing there. We know Srivas Thakur, one of those five personalities in Panchtattva. So he was standing there and he was also, seeing Mahaprabhu with great absorption. Wow, he's doing kirtan. And that minister, he also wanted to see Mahaprabhu, but because of so much crowd, he was unable to see. So later, in front of him, of that minister, his name was Hari Chandan. So in front of him, Srinivas was standing. No, it's not Srinivas, it's Shrivas. Shrivas was standing, Srivas Thakur. So Harichandan was, again and again he was saying that, oh, let me also see. I also want to see. This happens that if there is crowd and if you want to see or show something is happening, so you will try to go ahead. And some people may get irritate because of that reason, that why is he coming, why is he cutting the line, why is he uh, troubling me. So same way Srivas Thakur he got angry and he slapped tightly to Harichandan. At that time he became angry that why is he disturbing me, then he slapped him. And Harichandan was like he was not able to respond that time. So later the king, he said, oh wow, you are so fortunate, you got the mercy because you got the touch of a great devotee like Srivas Thakur. So that time, that minister also, it was not like that he also counterattacked on Srivas Thakur. So, like you can see here, we can never think of attacking or fighting with any great soul. Just like you can see here also in this pastime.
Is Srivas Thakur different or same as Srivasadi of Panchatattva?
Srivas Thakur is, yes, he's same as
Oh, same.
Panchatattva,
Okay.
but Srinivas Acharya is different. Srinivas Acharya is a disciple of Jiva Goswami, one of the Goswamis. He was a disciple of Jiva Goswami. And yes, he was a great preacher. Srinivas Acharya.
Okay.
So there is difference between Srivas Thakur and Srinivas Acharya.
Mhm.
So like that. So yes, then yeah, we saw here. Later he said that, let's see in the commentary, Gita Bhushan commentary. How will you maintain your life if you do not have a desire for your own kingdom? Suppose Krishna is saying this, then how will you maintain your life? If you are not fighting, you're saying that I don't desire to fight, I don't have any desire to own a kingdom. So Krishna on this, he's saying, then how will you maintain your life? So on this, Arjuna is saying, it is better to subsist by begging for food without having to kill the elders, even though that is condemned for the Kshatriya. Because though it is a cause of infamy in this life, it will not create impediments in the next life. Now, for a Kshatriya, begging for food is worse than even dying. Just like if a sannyasi, a renounced man, suppose he's a renounced man, and after few days comes a news that he got married. So that would be so shameful. It is mentioned in Shastra, it would be like eating your own vomit. It is equivalent to that. It's so shameful. So same way for a Kshatriya, begging for food is worse than dying. Kshatriya will never, beg. It's not in his blood. Blood means it's not his nature. He can never beg for food, or he cannot live a dependent life. He always want to live, on his own power, on his own will. So like that.
Does the Brahmana can that? I mean, they go around. At least in the ancient era, they would go around knocking and and live that way.
Yes. So for a brahmachari or for a brahmana, it is not shameful to beg for food. In fact, it is a culture that a brahmachari or a brahmana, they should or they can beg for food. But can you think of, can you even put yourself in such position? Suppose you are a brahmachari, you are in a saffron dress, and now can you think of begging food outside? In fact, no one knows us. We are not that famous that if we will beg outside, so we will become, it would be a cause of infamy. It's not like that. But Arjuna, he was so famous that enemies would make fun of him, because he was so famous as a great warrior, like everywhere in all the cities. He was so famous. But now, if news come like this, that the Kshatriya, the great warrior Arjuna, is begging for food for his survival, so it would be so shameful for him, And yes, people would make fun of him like this. But then also here he's saying that, oh, it's okay, I can tolerate this. Uh, though that is condemned for the Kshatriya, I understand this. But then also, I may tolerate this. Though it is a cause of infamy in this life. So he is very much knowing this, that it would be a cause of infamy in this life. But then also he's saying that, oh, it's okay, I will tolerate it. But it was not like that at all. He was just saying it in words. Sometimes, we say many things in words, but when the time comes to actually do it in practical, then our words fade away. So like this, Arjuna was also saying whatever he was saying in just words only, but it was not possible for him because he was a Kshatriya, plus he was so famous, he was a great warrior. So it was actually not practical or possible.
Yeah, so much he does not want to fight that he's prepared to go through such desperate measures and to put himself in that position of begging. He's prepared to do that as long as he doesn't have to fight. It sounds like.
Yes. So you can see how shameful it would be for an undefeated champion warrior to beg for food for survival like this. The one who is actually a friend of Lord himself. So it would be like very, bad condition that a friend of Lord is begging for food like this. But then also, Arjuna was saying that, oh, it's okay. It will not, at least, okay, I will tolerate this infamy in this life, but at least it will not create impediments in the next life. So he was thinking that in the next life, because, he was thinking that if I will kill my relatives, then that would be a sinful act. So instead of committing that sinful act, I will simply tolerate this infamy, and at least that way it will not create impediments in the next life. My next life would be comfortable, nice. So now on this, Krishna is saying, you should also reject Bhishma and others, though they are teachers, since they are also contaminated with arrogance for war, and have thus lost the discrimination of right and wrong by association with Duryodhana and others, who are using this war to commit violence to you and take away your kingdom by deceit. So it is said in the Smriti. Please sing after me. Gururapyavaliptisya कार्यकार्यम् अजानतः.
Gururapyavaliptasya karyakaryam ajanataha
उत्पतप्रतिपन्नस्य प्रतीयागो विधीयते. Wait. उत्पथ प्रतिपन्नस्य परित्यग परित्यग परित्यागो विधीयते.
Utpatapatipannasya parityago vidhiyate.
Good. So see, one should reject the guru who is proud. So before, reading this, there is a word karya, akaryam. Now let's understand meaning of this. You will see what Krishna is saying here. You should also reject Bhishma and others. Why? Because, see, Arjuna and basically all the brothers and Mother Kunti, they got a punishment because they failed to win the game of that gambling game. So because of that reason, they lost all their wealth, their prosperity, and later they were also told to live in the forest for 12 years plus. So 1 year vanvas, that is to live in forest. Sorry, 12 years. 12 years live in forest, and 1 year agyatvas. So agyatvas means they had to live for 1 year by hiding themselves. If anyone would see him from their kingdom, from the kingdom of Dhritarashtra, if anyone would find out the Pandavas, then they again had to live for 12 years in the forest. This was basically uh, the punishment they got from you know these brothers, Duryodhana and brothers. So they had to live for 12 years plus 1 year agyatvas. So in that agyatvas only where they needed to hide themselves. So for that reason only they were living in a kingdom by disguising themselves in uh, different ways. We discussed this, that Bhima, he disguised himself as a cook. He was cooking in that kingdom for everyone. Then we saw Arjuna, he disguised himself as Brinula. He was making people learn dance steps. So Brinula. Same way Yudhishthir was also Yudhishthir, Mother Kunti, and Draupadi, and other two brothers, they also disguised themselves. I don't remember about them. I remembered about Draupadi. She disguised herself as a maid servant of the queen. So she was decorating queen, combing her hair or makeup and all those things. So like that they disguised themselves. And you won't believe, in that kingdom the king, he tried to um he tried to, what is that word, means he was seeing Draupadi with different eyes. He had bad intentions about Draupadi, so he tried to seduce Draupadi and stuff like that. So later Pandavas killed that king also, and they ran from there. Otherwise everyone would know that they are Pandavas. So yes, here, yes, you can see Krishna is saying that you should also reject Bhishma and others, though they are teachers, since they are also contaminated with the arrogance for war. So you can see here, first of all, they were invited in the gambling for the game. Then also they were being cheated. So at that time also Bhishma and Dronacharya was there in that assembly, and they didn't scold Duryodhana for his act. They were silent. They were sitting silently, and they were not scolding Dhritarashtra or Duryodhan for their these nonsense act. So here also they were contaminated with the arrogance for war. Basically they were contaminated because they were not scolding, or they didn't say against whatever they were doing. We know about what happened with Draupadi in the assembly. They tried to undress her. So then also Bhishma and Dronacharya was not saying anything. Then they were simply seeing. But later, after 13 years got completed, then what Duryodhana said? He said, I will not even give you a pin. What to say of six villages? I will not even give you a pin. So that time also they cheated. with Pandavas, and that time also Bhishma and Dronacharya didn't say anything about his, cheating, whatever Duryodhana did with Pandavas. So that's why on this, Krishna is saying this, that you should also reject those people. You are saying that, oh, they are great souls, they are this, they are that. But see, though they are teachers, since they are also contaminated with the arrogance for war and have thus lost the discrimination of right and wrong. That's why they didn't say anything, whatever Duryodhana was doing. By association with Duryodhana and others who are using this war to commit violence to you and take away your kingdom by deceit. So, yes. So, now on this, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan is also quoting from Shastra. Whatever meaning he's giving of the shloka or of the translation, he's also giving reference from the Shastra. See, one should reject the guru who is proud, does not know proper behavior of right and wrong, and who becomes addicted to sinful life. Mahabharata 5.178.24. So you will see people today, they are accepting spiritual masters and without even questioning if that whoever standing in front of me as a guru, is he a real guru? So before accepting any person as your guru, one should always ask these three questions: that who are we? So suppose he will give answer that yes, we are souls, we are not this body. Second answer, who is God? So, many people will say God is impersonal, God is light, God is formless, or God doesn't exist, or I am God. They will say such nonsense things. Or suppose if, any person by chance, somehow he went ISKCON for Sunday feast and there he heard that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So ask him third question, that what is our relationship with God? That we are his eternal soul, we are his eternal servants. So, yes, if anyone is qualified to give answers for these questions, then you can easily accept that person as your guru. Otherwise, it's complete cheating. So, suppose, just like here it is written, um, suppose if you visited a doctor and you are you are sick for something, so you ask for treatment from that doctor, and that doctor is not giving you the right medicine, and he is talking about all other things. He's talking with you that, oh, I know how to cook chow mein. Do you understand what is chow mein? So yeah, suppose he's saying, oh, I know how to cook chow mein. I cook very delicious chow mein. Would you like to have it? So he'll say, no, doctor, I am sick. I came to you for, so you can, treat me and you can give me medicine. But he will, he speak many things, but he's not treating you. He's not giving you a medicine. Then that doctor is only in name, and he's not a real doctor. And you won't believe, it is really happening these days. People, by like falsely or by cheating, they passed in their examination, for example, examination of a doctor, and they got degree, but they don't know how to, uh, you know, how to treat a patient, what medicine to give to that patient. This is happening these days. So they take degrees, and but because they don't have any experience of how to treat a patient, or you can see example in other fields also. So they are people in names only, but they are not actually a doctor. Same it is applicable on a spiritual master. If he is not behaving, I mean, if he is not qualified to be to said to be as a guru, then he's actually not a guru. So here are, some points mentioned, that one should reject the guru who is proud, does not know proper behavior of right and wrong, just like Dronacharya. He was somehow contaminated or delusioned here, and who becomes addicted to sinful life. But they have the most outstanding powers. So, Krishna said this, that you should reject them. So, on this, Arjuna is saying, but they have the most outstanding powers among all persons, Mahanubhavan, caused by their study of Vedas and their brahmachari life. Now, you will see this. Who won the time? I mean, who won the death? It's Bhishma Deva, because he got a benediction that he can only die by his own choice. No one can kill him. So he won a victory over death. And he also won a victory over his senses, because he was he was a brahmachari throughout his life, and that to be akhand brahmachari. Akhand means who was never deviated or distracted from the path of following celibacy. So now please understand this. In a brahmacharya ashram, it is very easy to follow celibacy if we are with same people who are also following brahmacharya celibacy, and there are no matajis. But it is very difficult to follow brahmacharya in a place such as kingdom, where beautiful queens are living, beautiful queens, beautiful girls are there. So it's very difficult for a person to follow brahmacharya in such atmosphere, isn't it? And but you can see Bhishma Deva, he was able to maintain his celibacy throughout his life. Especially for a Kshatriya, it is very difficult to remain a brahmachari, because they want to get married, and not only one wife, they want to marry with so many queens, so many, they want so many wives. So yes, it's very difficult for Kshatriya, because their mode of passion is so it's so much empowers them, it's so strong that it's very difficult for them to remain a brahmachari. But yes, you want to say something?
Just to ask you, I don't know if this is said. So, Bhishma Dev, he's got this boon, so to speak, that he can decide when he's going to die. So, whenever he's ready, it's just his choice. Who granted this?
Yes, very nice question. So, this Bhishma Deva, his father only granted him this benediction because he was
His-
very pleased from him. Oh, my video is off. Yes, so he was very pleased from him because, you know, his father, he was already married, but then later fell in love with another girl, and he wanted to get married with that girl. So later, that second wife, she was very much concerned that, oh, you already have a son, and later your son will become the next king, and I mean, my children, my son will not become a king. So, in ancient time, this was a very big anxiety for people, that who will become the next king. My son my son should become the next king. So yes, her second wife was concerned about this. So yeah, because of this reason only, that second wife, actually he was not married yet, his father. So because of that reason, she was not accepting him, because you already have a son and he will become next king. So that's why she was not accepting him, that I will not marry you, because this is the case. So later, because he was so much um, overwhelmed with that emotion, because he wanted to marry that girl. So later he shared this thing with Bhishma Deva, and because Bhishma Deva, he was very generous, he said, "Oh, father, it's okay. You can get married. And I take this vow that I will not get married. I will remain a brahmachari throughout my life." So, ideally, a brahmachari, he cannot be a king. A grahasti can always be a king. So, then when his father heard this from his son, so he was so much pleased. And then because he was a king, and he also had, kings always had some powers, so he gave this benediction to Bhishma Deva, that of this ichha, uh, yes, basically this benediction, that you can die by your choice, no one can kill you. So like that. But yes, you can see here what Arjuna is saying. But they have the most outstanding powers among all persons, caused by their study of Vedas and their brahmachari life. So Krishna is saying they are contaminated, but Arjuna is saying no, they have the most outstanding powers among all persons. Having brought time, lust, and other factors under control, they are free from the faults arising from these factors. Let's see this note. Bhishma took a vow never to marry, so that he would not have heirs to the throne. Bhishma had the boon of being able to die when he chose. So, yes. So now you can see the compassionate heart of Arjuna. Any person who is not very good, if he's uncultured, so he will always see present situation, like any person, he will see his present situation, that what he has done in present moment. And if he did something wrong, then that person who is not very good, he would criticize him for his present mistake, but he will never see what good things he did in past. Do you get this?
So like he's forgiven.
No, the point
From
which I said, were you able to grab it? That any person who is not good, he will always criticize another person's those things, like those mistakes which he did in past, but he will never see those good things which that person, other people did in what
in
I'm
the
saying.
present. Oh, I see. Yeah, well, a lot of the time can be the other way around. Like,
Suppose if I did a mistake and any bad person, he will criticize me for that thing, but he will never see, he will never notice what all good things I did in my past days. If I did something bad, I mean, if I did any mistake in present moment, so that person will start criticizing me for that. So such people are not very nice. But here you will see a great Vaishnava. He always see positive in others, even if something little positive, something little good a person did, so he will exaggerate that positive thing. that wow, he did so good, and he will always neglect negative things, whatever he did. So yes, this is what Arjuna is saying, Mahanubhavan. He is seeing the good of Bhishma and Drona, what they did in their past, like whatever qualities they had, but he was not, he was simply neglecting whatever behavior they did in the assembly. So, we cannot understand this very nicely. You know why? Because we have a binocular with us, and whenever we see any person, we keep on finding faults that, oh, this person has this fault, that fault, this fault, that fault. So, like that, because we have that binocular to see faults in everyone, we are fault fighting. So, we cannot understand this thing very nicely. But, Krishna never see any faults in anyone. He
I
simply
don't.
notices what good he did for me. And same is applicable for, great Vaishnavas like Srila Prabhupada, like, here we can see Arjuna, Mahabhagavat. These are Mahabhagavat who always see good in others, and they always neglect whatever bad they do. This is called Adosh Drishti. Adosh means no fault, Drishti, to see. You want to say
Mm,
something?
Adosh Drishti. Um, yeah, that sometimes we can be like this with ourselves too. So like we're trying to do the right thing, and then we make a mistake, and we are um going on about this. Oh no, why I did this, or we focus that we made something um that we didn't want to fail or something like this. Because there's like an example saying that often we notice the negative, like when you cook, there are some pans or pots that are smooth, like this, they call the Teflon. So nothing sticks, it slides. Like a water on the birds, it just slides. And so we tend to sometimes to see the positive, we just let it slide like smooth. And something negative, sometimes it sticks like Velcro. Velcro is when you
Yes,
have a stick
yes,
for
yes, yes,
clothes or
yes, yes.
um, so there's that saying, because our mind sometimes focuses on those faults without realizing. It's like some kind of nature that um, tends to do that. Uh, So yeah, I can understand how in this case is being almost you're turning the blind eye. You don't want to focus that there was that mistake. Um, like when they could have defended Draupadi, for example, but they just didn't.
Mhm. Exactly. So, yes, we get a lesson from here that we should try to see positive always and neglect negative. But most of the time we do just opposite. So, we should try to work on it. Okay, let's see ahead. But Bhishma himself has said, now, Krishna is continuing. Arthasya purusho daso dasas तव अर्थो न कस्यचित् इति सत्यम महाराजा बद्धोस्मि अर्थेन kurvai. Now, let's see. Man is the servant of wealth, but wealth is not the servant of anyone. This is the truth. Can do you agree with this? Man is the servant of wealth. So suppose in your country, the currency is dollars.
Here is the sterling pound.
Sterling pound. Okay. I don't know. So do you know the value of your currency if we compare it with Indian rupee? Have you ever tried to convert it? It's okay. You can say no if you don't know.
I'm not too sure.
It's okay. So you have
I've
idea
got
about
an idea. I think rupee is more, is a lot numbers.
Hmm.
Like
Yes, I
1 pound, like 1 pound would be like maybe like $1.50. But rupees probably you would get, I don't know, like maybe 10. I'm not too sure
let
because
me
I haven't been to India.
consider.
I don't-
So one sterling pound is 128 Indian rupee. Wow. So yes, I know, in West it's very expensive. But anyways, so suppose you earned 50 pounds and now you keep those 20 pounds safely or those 20 pounds keeps you safely. Sorry, 50 pounds. Answer is you will keep those 50 pounds safely, so, anyone may not steal them. You will keep your 50 pounds safely in your house, right? So you are worried about your 50 pounds or your 50 pounds are worried about you?
Yeah, usually it's the other way around.
What?
Usually it's like the first thing you said.
Yes, you are worried about your 50 pounds. So who is the servant? We are actually serving, we are taking care, we are worried about our 50 pounds, and we are keeping it on at the safer place so anyone may not steal it. So we are servants. So this is what Bhishma Deva is saying. Man is the servant of wealth, but wealth is not the servant of anyone. This is the truth. So yes, this is the truth, that people, they are servant of money, wealth, and that's why I don't know about what happens in West, but people here, they do lots of austerity and lots of very dangerous work, dangerous job to get some money. They will work for hours, or they will work for in factories, and very hard factories. I mean, the work is very difficult in those factories. Like we hear coal mine factories, they need to go underground and they need to work there. So they are doing it for some money, so that they in return they will get some coins, some notes. So, yeah, here, hence, it's proof man is the servant of wealth. O king, I have been bound up by wealth by the Kauravas. Mahabharata 6.41.36. So, that's why Brahmana is always, he always stays away from money, because money is the reason of one may fall down because of wealth, because wealth with wealth comes greed. That's why, Brahmanas means Vaishnavas, devotees. They keep only, needful money, needful wealth with them to satisfy their necessities. It's very dangerous because, we see many devotees, because of, they get money, they get wealth. So now with wealth comes greed. So because of that reason, they they take their devotional services for granted. So we should be very, very careful about, dealing with wealth. So yes, here you can see Bhishma Deva, he's saying, I have been bound up by wealth by the Kauravas. Therefore, what is the great authority of those who have sold their souls out of greed for wealth? Now, here in ISKCON, Prabhuji was telling that there was one person who used to give donation to Maharaj, a sannyasi in ISKCON. He used to give wealth, that devotee used to give some donation to that sannyasi. But, now, because he was giving donation to that sannyasi, so he became proud and he himself started giving instructions to that sannyasi that, oh Maharaj, you should behave like this, that. So, you know what that sannyasi said? That you give me donation, that doesn't mean you have purchased me.
Thoughts.
So, just like that sannyasi said this, same way Bhishma could also say this to Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana. Because see, ultimately that kingdom belonged to Bhishma and not Dhritarashtra. They were all subordinates to Bhishma Deva. But then also you can see here he's saying, I have been bound up by wealth by the Kauravas. So hence he was not able to discriminate what was right, what was wrong. And that's why Krishna is saying here that what is the great authority of those who have sold their souls out of greed for wealth? They should be killed in battle because they have become, what was that word for Atatai? Do you remember? Aggressors. They have become aggressors. Now see, Arjuna is saying again, even if I kill these gurus who are unqualified because of their desire for wealth, arth kaman, and I enjoy in this world, I cannot enjoy in the next life, for those enjoyments will be mixed with their blood. Rudhira pradigdhan. It is not pure enjoyment because it has been obtained through killing them. Though contaminated with pride in fighting, they are still worthy of respect. This statement manifests because of his continued acceptance of them as gurus. So now it was not like, that when Arjuna, after killing, when he would live in the kingdom, in the palaces. So the blood of his kinsman would be painted on the wall or something like that. It was not like this, but to intensify whatever he was saying, to increase the intensity of it, and basically to give strong statements to Krishna, he was saying in such way that those enjoyments will be mixed with their blood. That's why he was saying such statements, to basically increase the intensity of whatever he was saying. Sometimes you see people, they speak a simple thing with great intensity so that it may affect other people mindset. So same way Arjuna was trying to speak such words to Krishna. And actually, to speak such words, one really need, bold heart. So yes, because Arjuna was Kshatriya, he was able to say these things to Krishna. So though contaminated with pride and fighting, they will still worthy of respect. they are still worthy of respect. This statement manifests because of his continued acceptance of them as gurus. So he was still accepting them as his gurus. So with this, we have completed our purport by Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. Now we will continue purport by Srila Prabhupada and also commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in our next class, if Krishna is willing. We'll conclude our session here. If you want to add on something, please go ahead.
I just have a question. So, were you saying the land belonged to Bhishma Dev, and there was some kind of fight over it regarding Dhritarashtra?
Fight? What fight?
Well, when they, like motives to start the war. Just because I'm thinking, was some part of the land for Yudhishthira?
What? Please complete your question, what you are asking.
So you just mentioned some land belonging to Bhishma Dev,
That whole kingdom belonged to Bhishma Deva.
the kingdom.
And and those people, Dhritarashtra and sons of him, they were subordinates to Bhishma Deva.
And did they want it for themselves?
Of course.
Right. So I was wondering if Yudhishthira had something that was going to belong to him. I
So
don't know
see,
if it was.
definitely it is a tradition that if in a family, if our superiors own something, then they will pass that property to their descendants. So now, because Dhritarashtra and Pandu, they were brothers, so it was an equal right for, for the sons of both the brothers, that they may get the property equally. This happens now also. If a man, if a father has two sons, so he will distribute the property equally to both the sons. But here you can see that Dhritarashtra and his sons were cheating with Pandavas. They wanted to, take over all the kingdom, all the property, and they do not wanted to give anything to Pandavas. So they were cheating here.
I see. Okay. So my confusion is because in the war eventually Bhishma Dev goes to the Kaurava side, doesn't he? And Yudhishthira is with the Pandava side. So
Do you know who is Yudhishthira? Yudhishthira is one of the Pandavas.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. But what I was just wondering, Bhishma Dev then went to the other side, didn't he? So he was fighting with the Kauravas, Dhritarashtra side. And then, so was it the kingdom that then it was more towards Yudhishthira rather than Bhishma Dev?
What was your last question?
So was it because Bhishma Dev did fight with the others at the other side. So even if the kingdom was going to belong to Bhishma Dev, he was still going to.
Because this is what he's saying here. His consciousness was contaminated, and he was not able to understand this, that kingdom ultimately belonged to him. But then also he was thinking that, oh, king is Dhritarashtra, and I have been bound up by wealth by the Kauravas. So he was thinking like this. So it was his false, contaminated consciousness. That's why he was not able to discriminate what is right and wrong.
Mhm. I see. So that's how he ended up the other side,
Exactly.
because he was contaminated in this way. Ah, okay. 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 Yeah, I understand now. Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is what Krishna is saying here. You should also reject Bhishma and others, though they are teachers, since they are also contaminated with the arrogance for war and have thus lost the discrimination of right and wrong by association with Duryodhana. So
Yes,
Krishna is
yes,
clearly saying this over here.
yes, yes. I understand. Um, okay. Yeah, that is clear. Yeah, thank you.
It's nice, to when we try to understand these topics, so that way we are serving Krishna through our intelligence, because we are using our intelligence to understand these topics, and it's glorious. So good. Okay, thank you so much for your association. We'll conclude here.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai,
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.